Oh, you didn't have to. I told Joe that we could, so. This is fun.
Yeah. Okay, well, I'm gonna get started here. This is actually a lot harder than it looks. Last year, my hilarious routine ended up being slightly amusing to a few people, so. But I'm Pastor Townsley. I grew up in Southington, and my parents were from rural Indiana. And they moved out here before I was born. And my dad loved the outdoors, liked to go hunting and fishing. And we lived in an apartment above the church. My dad was a pastor. While I was a kid, we didn't have a TV. So I'd say my childhood was normal. I remember as a kid going to an auction, and we went to this auction and bought this big pig. For a pig, it was kind of cute, and we brought it home, and my dad butchered it. So, again, it was pretty normal childhood overall. Another time, my dad was trying to save money, and so we raised all these chickens, and we had these chickens in a coop. And there must have been like 20 or 30 chickens that we had out there. And my grandparents came out to visit us, and the whole reason they came was to help put them in the freezer. So if you know anything about chickens, you do not put them straight in the freezer. There are a few steps in between. The first step involves cutting off the head of the chicken. Have you ever heard the expression, running around like a chicken with their head cut off? I was just a little kid, and I remember they'd whack the chicken, and the chicken literally would go crazy. It's going, wah, wah, like this, and it's running like all around, and then I'd be watching, I'd be like, there's no way, how is that thing running around for this long? And as soon as I thought that, boom, it just falls over dead. And then I'd be like, this is pretty cool. And then they'd kill the next one, and then the thing would run around, and my cousin, my uncle and I, we thought it was hilarious. Well, when I was a little bit older, my dad, being from the country, he was looking in the newspaper, and he saw an ad for a free dog. So he's like, get in the car, we're going to go get this dog. And I was thinking, why in the world would anyone ever want to give away a dog? We got him home, and I realized we had the dumbest dog ever in the history of the world. We actually overpaid for this dog. This dog was so dumb. The second day that we had it, we lived on a busy, very busy road. My dad takes him off the leash, and he goes running straight for the road. Not only was he so dumb that he went running straight for the road, he tries crossing the road in the place where the only place in sight that had a tree that was about 4 feet across, and he's heading right for the tree. The tree is growing up right next to the road. Were he to make it across the road, he would hit the tree, bounce back into traffic, and get killed. He never made it to the tree. The next step, I will not tell you what happened next, but it involved digging a hole in the back of the property. So, again, my childhood was normal. When I was older, I just finished college, and I started doing a graduate degree program. And at the time, I was like 19 or something like that. I was single. I just finished undergrad. So I'm going to this program, and the way this music program was set up, it was designed so that people could, that people who were actively, they had a job, they were working with a church music program, and they could go during the summer for 3 or 4 weeks, get their degree, but it took 4 summers, but then, they didn't have to quit their job and this sort of thing. So it was a unique program. I was 19. Everyone else was like 38 in the program. And it created some very awkward situations for me. Again, I'm 19. Because I don't know what happened, so I'm sitting with my other classmates for lunch, and the conversation always ended up going the same way. One of the guys would be like, "Oh yeah, well that's nothing, but when my wife, when her water broke, when she was expecting, we go rushing to the hospital, and she was like 8 centimeters dilated." And I remember sitting there thinking, this is yet another, I'm not going to contribute anything to this conversation. My wife and I got married, and we ended up back at I was back at the same program. This was like less than a week after we got married. I do not recommend that for anyone. But we ended up there, so it was at the same program. My wife was taking some classes, and I was as well. So we sat down again for lunch, and we're sitting here at the table, and again, all these like 30 and 40-year-old guys that were sitting there. My wife would say something, and this other guy would say, "Now here's the translation of that." So, for example, here's what happened. My wife was sitting there, and she shakes her cup. She didn't have hardly anything left. She's like, "Boy, it'd be nice to have something else to drink." And I sat there, and the guy looked at me and knew I had no clue what she was saying. So he said, "Here's the translation. She wants you to get up and refill her cup." I was like, "No, I don't think that's what she meant." So I looked over. "Is that what you meant?" She's like, "Yeah, that's what I meant." So I couldn't believe it. It was like there was this whole new language. We were speaking the same language, but I didn't know what it was. The language is called womanese. Fortunately, I had someone to translate for me to get started. So here's the rule. Anytime she says "we need to," we means me. That's the way it works. Sometimes, though, when you're married, you have communication problems. I'm sure nobody can imagine that. One day we're in the kitchen. My wife said, "Could you get can you get the spatula for me?" I said, "Sure." So I went and got the black plastic utility thing that you flip pancakes and hamburgers with. So I brought it to her. She said, "No, that's not a spatula." I said, "What?" "That's what I always heard it called." She's like, "No, that's a flipper. The spatula is the other one you use to clean out the bowl at the very end." So after 22 years of marriage experience, you're probably wanting me to kind of help you along so that you can understand what women are thinking and what they want. After 22 years, here's what I've learned. If she doesn't know what she's thinking, how am I supposed to know? Then my wife and I had kids. We have 5 kids. And I understand a lot of people today, they're talking down about kids. It's so hard to raise kids. Kids are such a problem. But I disagree. I think kids are great most of the time. But it's the time they have to watch out for is when they're awake. The rest of the time, you're good. No, really, I think kids are very valuable. I think they have an intrinsic value. Every spring, I'm almost on my knees, so thankful that my wife and I have these 5 kids. Right when I write in the 5 child tax credits on my tax return. Personally, I think my kids have a normal childhood. As the kids were getting older, they started talking to me about getting a dog. My wife was talking to me about getting a dog. The kids were talking to me about getting a dog. And I'll just have to say up front, nothing wrong with the dog. I'm okay with the dog in general. But my wife came to me and she's like, "Oh, the kids, they're going to want a dog. I grew up having a dog. Wouldn't it be great if we could get a dog?" And I'm calculating strictly from a monetary point of view. No, we're not getting a dog. She's like, "What? We never talked about this when we were dating." Not my fault. We're not getting a dog. So she's like, well, why? How come you don't want to get a dog? I said, it goes back to my childhood. We had a dog named Scamper. I watched him get hit with a car. It was so traumatic. Oh, I just can't take it seeing the dog. She's like, oh, I didn't realize it. I tried telling her, I tried to tell you I had a normal childhood, but there was this dog incident. Well, but no, the real reason I didn't want to get a dog was financial. We're barely making it as it is financially. And here we're going to get a dog. So the kids are all lined up. Can we please get a dog? Can we please get a dog? And I already know what they're thinking. We get one dog, it's going to be a perpetual dog. One dog dies, you got to get a comfort dog to replace the dog that died. I'm like, do I want to sign up for the paying for a dog for the rest of my life? I was like, no, that's not going to work. So all the kids are lined up. They're all looking at me. Please, can we get a dog? I was like, look, we can barely make it as it is. If we get a dog, one of you's going to have to go. Do we have any volunteers? But no, there's another issue too. It's not just that the dog costs money. I mean, the kids cost money too. But I don't know. Isn't there a verse in the Bible? If you don't work, you shouldn't eat. What is the dog going to do to contribute to the society and the income of the family? I mean, if we were in some violent place, then you have a guard dog. Okay, you got an actual cash benefit there. But just getting a dog, I'm like, no. So eventually I was like, look, maybe we could work out a deal if each of you wants to get a chicken. Then the chickens are going to contribute something here. But they didn't really go for the chicken. In the end, though, we really compromised on the fish and the hamsters. So we started off with fish, and I'm thinking, look, they're going to be quiet. They're going to pay for them. It's got to be pretty low risk. I didn't realize there was such a big learning curve to fish. Man, we were losing fish left and right. For a while, I was thinking maybe we should sign up for a fish subscription. They just send a new one like every couple of weeks. They're not dying as quickly anymore, but that also could be because we don't have a lot of fish left. But now I'm middle-aged, I'm getting older, having trouble with my legs sometimes, having trouble remembering things. Sometimes my mouth says not quite what my mind was thinking. So I'm thinking in maybe 10 to 15 years, I'll be qualified to run for president. And that's all I have. All right, Brother Marcel, come on.
All right. We have to use the mic?
No.
Okay. All right, well, I'll take it.
Chicken.
All right, so we'll give this a try. All right, so I know Frazier likes to play basketball. Any